I know that I shall meet my fate somewhere among the clouds above. Those that I fight I do not hate. Those that I guard I do not love.
Fate somewhere among the clouds above. Those that I fight I do not hate. Those that I guard I do not love.
The Highwayman by Alfred Noyes, Part 1. The wind was a torrent of darkness among the gusty trees. The moon was a ghostly galleon.
The Highwayman by Alfred Noyes, Part 1. The wind was a torrent of darkness among the gusty trees. The moon was a ghostly galleon tossed upon cloudy seas. The road was a ribbon of moonlight over the purple moor.
Hello and welcome back. Now, whenever somebody speaks of text to speech AI tools or voice cloning software, the first thing that invariably pops into one's mind is Lemon Labs. It's an absolutely great platform. But it has a couple of constraints, namely, first, not everything is free, and even with paid tiers, you have different levels, which basically dictates what you can do with your credits. Secondly, and more importantly, recently they have announced some prohibitions in case of cloning voices. So you cannot clone celebrity voices anymore. And this is what Levin Labs was actually famous for. That's how they got popular. Now, this is not necessarily a bad thing. I think it is good that you are having sufficient guardrails to prevent misuse. So somebody could clone somebody's voice and actually send it to unsuspecting people, especially old people who have no idea how AI works or what is out there, masquerading as some loved one's voices. However, there are cases where you genuinely need to clone voices. So, for example, a content creator might actually prefer giving his voice to a AI tool and asking them to read out a script. It's much easier. The narration is much more consistent. So that's just one of the use cases. I'm sure there are pretty much others. Now what we will do in this video is look at a couple of other options out there that are absolutely free and that you can install locally. You heard it right, install locally. Now they claim, okay, to be able to clone voices as well, other than that TTS or text-to-speech capabilities, which we will test out, whether they can actually clone voices or not. And the two products that we'll be looking into today is PocketTTS from Qt and VoiceLab. So let's get right into it. So the first tool that we'll be looking into is PocketTTS. And if you go to github.com/QTI-labs/pocket-TTS, it will bring you to the GitHub homepage of this tool. I will be sharing this link in the video description below, so do check that out. Now, this describes in details what this tool is all about, what is its architecture, what do you need, right? And essentially how you can install it, which is quite simple. If you have Python installed in your machine, right, in a local machine, just run this command. Just open your command prompt and just type in ubx space pocket hyphen tts hyphen generate. This will install Pocket TTS in your machine, right? Or if you wanted, right, if you do not want to install anything, you could just directly go into their website, the link of which again I will be sharing in the video description below, and you could just try it out here. But since the purpose of this demo is to see how things work locally, we are not going to try this option. Rather, we'll do it this way, where you run this command, which I've already done, and I've already installed it. Okay, and then you run pocket-tts generate. So two commands. The first is for the installation, and the second one is for launching, which will open, which will expose a local URL. Okay, so let me show you what I mean. I am on a Windows machine, and just let me run the first command. Now, if you run it for the first time, this will take some time because it needs to install all the dependencies there. So just be patient. Since I've run this a couple of times today, this did not take much time for me, but for you, this might take, say, give or take 2 to 3 minutes there. So the second command that you would need to run is uvx space pocket hyphen tts space serve. And guys, remember, this is just directly taken from the GitHub page, so you have all the commands right here. Okay, so once I run this, this will expose a URL locally, right, to our Pocket TTS. And I've just run that command, and you can see the server is starting, and it has exposed the local URL on port 8000. So I'll just open this, and there you go, right? So by default, it starts with Alba. That's the voice. If you wanted, you could change it. Now let me try generating some voice. So that's a lovely poem from William Butler Yeats, which is an Irish airman foresees his death, one of my favorite poems. I'm just copy pasting the first four stanzas, and I'm choosing the voice as Alba. Okay, let me try generating.
An Irish airman foresees his death by William Butler Yeats. I know that I shall meet my fate somewhere among the clouds above. Those that I fight I do not hate. Those that I guard I do not love.
That was pretty decent, isn't it? So let's try some other voice. So let's try Caro Davi.
An Irish airman foresees his death by William Butler Yeats. I know that I shall meet my fate somewhere among the clouds above. Those that I fight I do not hate. Those that I guard I do not love.
And immediately you can see how useful this tool can be. The generation is quite fast. It did not take any time at all. So if you wanted an AI voice, a natural sounding AI voice, just to read out some text which you could record later or which you could play out, this would be a fantastic tool to have. It is lightweight, it is fast, it's responsive, and the modulation is very natural. Now, interestingly, they have a voice cloning option as well. I tried this out, but this doesn't work, and I'll show you what I mean. So let me try choosing a voice, a pre-recorded voice, right? And I've uploaded this, and I'll try generating audio using this. And immediately you can see there's a server error. So the voice duplication, unfortunately, does not work. However, just for TTS capabilities, I'll give it full marks. Now, having said that, if you really wanted to use it for voice cloning as well, what you would need to do is, let me just move my video up here so you can see what this command prompt says, what the error is actually about. So it says we could not download the weights for the model with voice cloning, but if you're trying to use for voice cloning, so it says you can essentially you can just use the default voices, and if you really want to access the model with voice cloning, go to this link, just the Hugging Face link for QTI Pocket TTS, accept the terms, and then make sure you're logged in locally with UVX HF auth login. So let's try this out. So let me go to this link here, which brings me to this page, and it says you need to you need to agree to share your contact information to access this model. I'll just say yes. I'll just do this will take you to a login page, and if you already have the login info, that is, you have already logged into Hugging Faces, you can use that, or you would need to create a new account if you are logging in for the first time. But after that, what will happen is it will bring you to this page here where it says you need to agree to share your contact information to access this model, and it says essentially some guardrails that you should not use it to generate unlawful, harmful, libelous, abusive, harassing, discriminatory, hateful, or privacy invasive content, something that's very, very important. So just let me give it a name, a company name that it wants. Let's see. I'm trying it for the first time, guys. Okay, this is not something that I have actually done. So I agree and I'll access to this repository, right? So now what do I need to do? Let me go back here, and what does it say on my command prompt? Right, it says I need to log in locally with Hugging Face. So let me try to do that. I'll open another command prompt. I'll run this command. Let's see if it works or not. So it says it's all, you are already logged in. Okay, if you want you can re-log in. I guess it took the login from my browser there, right? Since I am already running the PocketTTS server, it seems to have somehow got it. So let's now try cloning. Right, okay, now let me just choose the file again. Let me see if it works this time. Oh no, it does not. And why does it not work? Yeah, it's the same thing, right? You know what? Let me try relaunching this. Okay, so we should try everything. So let me try logging into Hugging Face first. Okay, right. Yep, it says it's already logged in. And now let me try. I don't think I need to run generate again. I'll just do Pocket TTS serve. Let's see if it works this time. Interestingly, it's trying to download some tensors. So I think it's trying to download the required model for cloning. Right. Okay. And now it's available. Yep. Let me choose the file. Let's see if it works. No, it doesn't. Let us see what the logs say this time around. So it says sound. Okay, it's an import error. Okay, so sound file is required to read non-wave audio files. Install the pip install sound file or UVX with sound file. So let's try that. So I'll shut this down and I'll just do UVX sound file. Yep, so that seems to have installed. Let me restart it again. Or you know what, let's actually start from the beginning. Okay, so I will just do a generate again, if that is what is missing. Right, now it says it is loading some text to speech model. Waits from, yeah, seems to have loaded that model. And let me just as they say, if there are two ways of doing things, let us do it the right way. Okay, now I've opened this for the nth time again, and this is the last time. If it does not work, I'm just going to give up. Right, so let me try cloning again. What happens? Again, a server error. So let me check out. Right, again, it's the same bloody error. Right, And at this point, I will just wave the white flag and just say this is a fantastic tool for TTS capabilities, but the cloning doesn't work, at least for me. Now let's look at the second tool. Now the second tool that we'll be looking into is quite a popular one at that, is Voicebox. So let's see how we can set it up, right? So there are two ways you could do it. You could either go to their website, which is voicebox.sh, and you could just download it, quite simple. But being awesome developers that we are, we always prefer the GitHub method, the repo method. So the repo is github.com/JamiePine/voicebox. Right, I will be sharing this links in the video description below, so do check those out. Reminder. So if I scroll down, it just gives me what it is all about, right? So it says clone any voice, so that's the highlight, right? And dictate into any app, talk to agents in your voices you own. A good thing about this is that it works locally, as with our Pocket TTS, and it does not need the internet, so it will work entirely on your system capabilities. Now do be aware, this is a little heavier weight compared to the Pocket TTS, which was lightweight. So this will eat up your system resources. And if you are running it within a system and your system has, say, let us say it is low on memory already, you will see processors hanging up frequently. So make sure that you have adequate RAM. My system has 32 gigabytes of RAM, which is sufficient for this purposes. It will even work on 16 GB of RAM, but anything lower than that, I think you are going to have a problem, right? So just bear in mind, and it also depends upon your CPU, GPU capabilities. You need not have GPU, right? It will work on your CPU capability. So it just gives you some examples on how you can clone your voice. It has some lovely screenshots. Okay, it says a description that it's a local first AI voice studio. It's a free and open source alternative to 11 Labs and Whisperflow. So they're not hiding the fact that they're challenging the two giants there. And then you have your download links. I'm for Windows, so I just click download MSI. If you're on Mac OS or based on a version, yeah, download the relevant thing. And if it is you're on a Linux machine, just download using this link right here. And it gives you the different models it has, the different transcript models it has, and things like that. What I've done is I've already gone ahead and downloaded it, double clicked it, and installed. Pretty simple standard procedure. And this is what I get. Okay, so once I open up, I get a lovely looking dashboard here. So the first thing is the generate option. I have a couple of voice generations that I already did. I have some stories where you can create some projects, right? Some captures, which essentially is your transcripts, and then your voices that you have created. You can see that I've already created a couple of voices there. You can add some lovely effects. It can be robotic, radio, echo chamber, deep voices, the models that you need to download, right? Based on your capacity, storage capacity, download the appropriate model. I have gone for QuenTTS 1.7 billion, so it takes 4.23 gigabytes of space. If you do not have that space, go for a smaller model. You could use something like Lux TTS, which is CPU friendly, which is fast. Okay, so choose your models wisely. For transcription, again, you could either go for Whisper Base. Let me move my model down, which is quite a small model, or you could go for Whisper Large, which is a large model, which is, as the name suggests, right, 2.8 GB. You could have language models, right? So if you wanted, you could go for, if you wanted different languages, you could just go for whatever model you choose based on your system capabilities. Right, so make sure you have downloaded the right model, and that's the first thing that you should do. Open your dashboard, and the first time, just be aware, for the first time when you're launching it, it would take a couple of minutes to download the sensors and getting loading the required models, stuff like that. So be patient. So that is the first thing you need to do after you have launched this app. So download the installation files, install this app, launch it, and the very first time that you launch it, it will take 2 to 3 minutes to settle down. So be patient, give it time. And the first thing you need to do is come into this left hand over here and click on the models box and download the appropriate models. Do download at least one for voice generation and one for transcription. You can choose anything based on your system capabilities. Now let us try generating some voices. So go over to your left hand pan here and click on this first icon, which is this loudspeaker icon, and you can see it's called generate there, right? So once you click on it, it will bring you to this page here, right? And if you have already generated some voices, you can see those here. So these are things that I already generated. And the first thing we need to do is, so you can import a voice if you already had. So, but in order to do this, it needs to be in a zipped format. I will not be going through this option here because I found it a little bit confusing. It does not accept all formats and is a bit tricky, to say the least. So you can try it out in your spare time here, but this is not something I'll be trying out. I'll just say create voice here, and it just says, okay, can either start the recording, okay, or you can clone from a video, right? So let me start the recording. Now before you start the recording, if you're recording your own voice, just be clear, okay, that you would need the transcript. So read out from a script, because that exact script is something that you would need to paste in this box here. So first find the script, right, paste it below, and then you start the recording. So let me find an appropriate script. So again, I have just chosen a poem by Alfred Noyes, which is The Highwayman, another one of my favorites. Okay, and this is what I will be reading out. So let me start the recording. The Highwayman by Alfred Noyes, Part 1. The wind was a torrent of darkness among the gusty trees. The moon was a ghostly galleon tossed upon cloudy seas. The road was a ribbon of moonlight over the purple moor, and the highwayman came riding, riding, riding. The highwayman came riding up to the old inn door. He had a French cocked hat on his forehead and a bunch of lace at his chin, a coat of claret velvet, and that's it. And now I'll just give it any name. So I'll just give it Code Sadie, and I'll just use language is English. If you wanted, you could give it a description, you could give it a personality. I'll just leave it blank for the time being. Just play it around, okay, when you get the time. And the default engine, you can just use no preference, or as I've done, just choose the model that you have downloaded. In my case, it's PocketTTS. Okay, if you wanted, you could just leave it at no preference. That should do fine. And I'll just create the profile. And there you go. The profile has been created. Now let me try playing this, right? So the profile has been created. Now let me try using this voice, okay, to read out some text. So let us try An Irish Airman Foresees His Death, okay, by William Butler Yeats. Right. And now if I just click on generate speech, okay, which is this star spangly icon over here, I wish they had just given a straightforward button saying generate speech, but anyway, let's see how much what it generates. And you can see it saying it's generate speech using code study. It's loading the model. Now what I've noticed is that this hangs a couple of times, at least in my system. So if this takes a very long time for loading the model and generating the voice, what you might want to do is to stop and relaunch the app. I've seen that it works again. This is especially true when we try cloning voices, which we'll see sometime later, okay, in this demo, hopefully. Right, so this is taking a long time. So what I'll do is I'll just relaunch this. So I've relaunched this, and you can see this is the launch page. Essentially, this is something that I think I should have shown you at the beginning when I started Voicebox. But this is what you'll see each time you launch him. Even for launching, it's not fast. It takes some time. Remember, it is using your local system resources, right? So it's not something that you load from the World Wide Web, right? And now it says it has failed. So what I'll do is I'll just do a generate again. Let's see if this time it's faster. So after waiting for say 5 minutes or so, what I did is I stopped it again and I relaunched it. And this time, okay, it has started generating. And by relaunching, I mean I did not relaunch the app. I just clicked the stop button here and I just pressed that refresh icon here. So not ideal, right? But again, this is free. This works on your local system. So maybe something you will learn to live with. So let's see how long it takes to generate this text. So the last time I generated something, okay, that was the Highwayman poem. It took more than an hour. So you need to be patient. Now this is not that big, okay, so hardly a 2 or 3 stanzas there. So I'm hoping this will finish within say 15 to 20 minutes. So what I will do is I'll just pause this video here and I'll be back once it finishes its generation. So it took little more than 20 minutes, I would say even 30 minutes for the voice to be generated there. Now let's hear it. So
Brown doe-skin, an Irish airman.
and right away you can see that though the voice is okay, it has a bug. And it starts with a brown doe skin, which actually belonged to the Highwayman transcript. So for some weird reason, it has picked that up. So it should start with an Irish airman foresees his death. It's a small bug, but maybe something you can live with, but it's a bug nevertheless. So I'll play it again so that you see what I mean.
Brown doe-skin, an Irish airman foresees his death by William Butler Yeats. I know that I shall meet my fate somewhere among the clouds above. Those that I fight I do not hate, those that I guard I do not love. My
Anyway, the voice is quite okay. I mean, it's quite natural. The tone is smooth. Overall, a pretty decent job there. Now let's see how voice cloning works. For voice cloning, again click on this generate icon here and go to create voice. What we will do is we'll use the system audio to clone any voice that we want. So I can play, for example, a YouTube video or say Instagram, TikTok, anything that I want, and I can capture the sound of the narrator from there. So click on system audio and I'll click start capture. But before I do that, I need to play some audio or video. So let me open YouTube and let me play a suitable video. Yeah. So this is one of my favorite videos. The narrator is Denzel Washington. It's a good motivational speech. Let me play it, okay, and all you need is 30 seconds for the capture to happen. So I'll just click play here.
Leadership, power, authority, guidance, patience.
And once your 30 seconds are up, right, you can see that system audio file has been generated. And for cloning, you would also need the transcript. So what you need to do is you need transcribe. So that's what I've done. And there you go. That was quite quick. Authority, guidance, patience, a God's gift to us men. So it's a quite a short thing because it was a lot of spacing in between, right? And let me just give it a name Denzel 2 because I've already created a clone, a video audio clone for Denzel, and yeah, I'll just use the default engine as Quen3 TTS and I'll create the profile, right? Now let me try to generate something using this voice. So make sure I have Denzel 2 selected, and what I'll do is I'll just copy the first stanza of, ooh, I do not want this one. Okay, just 4 lines there. And let me try using Denzel's voice and try generating this speech here. This should be faster. I think it would not take more, probably 3 to 4 minutes or even less, because that's just 4 lines that it needs to generate. So I'll pause it here and I'll be back once it finishes its generation. And it took hardly 2 minutes for the generation to be completed. Now let's play it. And ladies and gentlemen, presenting to you Denzel Washington.
I know that I shall meet my fate somewhere among the clouds above. Those that I fight, I do not hate. Those that I guard, I do not love.
Isn't that brilliant? And that's all I have for today. I really hope that you enjoyed this session and I hope to see you again soon. So till then, adios.